So we have a little piece of debris in this door right here. A little piece of fuzz in there, right in the middle of that stripe. So this is painted, striped like this, and then cleared over. They usually sand and buff the upper walls and things, but generally on these bottom bay doors and things, they don't sand and buff them, so they're notorious for just having junk in them. So I am gonna sand and buff that piece. I don't recommend you do this unless you, one, want to pay to have this door painted, or two, want to paint this door yourself. This is really risky because I'm sanding into this thing with 400 grit. You can't sand that out effectively with like a 1000 or 1500 or 2000. A lot of guys will try to do that, and all that does is it's not shaving the surface off. It's not aggressive enough to plane that surface down from the outside. So it's the same thing with sanding out a run. A lot of guys try and be real careful and sand it out with 1500 or whatever, and it just doesn't work because you'll always see that remnant because you're not able to sand that flat and achieve a flat surface. I mean, that's deep in there, so there's a real good possibility I'm sanding through this thing. So if that happens, I'm painting at least 2 colors on 2 doors. So again, fair warning, don't try this at home. That's deep, because I can see there's a lot of clear coat. It's not like the fuzz is sticking out. Sometimes you'll start to sand and you'll see that the debris is hanging out of the top of the clear, and this one is buried. So just like a wood plane, you want to keep your blade sharp. Your blade sharp, and your blade in this case is this nice, expensive, well-uniform piece of sandpaper. So you have to keep this thing sharp, meaning you got to keep it clean, you got to use good sandpaper, and it needs to be a fresh piece. So you're thinning that clear coat significantly with this 400. And then after that, you got to go at least, minimum 1000 to step all those scratches down out of there. And then I go 3000. Sometimes I'll even go 5000 after that. But each time you do a step, you're removing more and more material. And you can see that piece of fuzz is still in there. I mean, I haven't even touched it. So I got to keep going down, down, down until I remove that piece. So I'm probably going through this door, but I'm using a rigid block. I'm stretching the sandpaper over this rigid block. Not hardcore, but I just want it to be flat. And I'm just barely touching this. Bob Ross would say 3 hairs and some air. The reason you don't want to push hard is because, again, you don't want to be mimicking that surface. If you're just pushing, number one, your sandpaper's not going to be as effective, and you're just going to be rolling over the top of that thing, and you're going to force your pad to flex, and you're going to end up sanding more to the sides than you are right on the top. I'll switch to a new location on the sandpaper. Keep your sandpaper clean, keep your area clean. Real light pressure. Now it's smooth. I can put my finger over it and it's smooth, which wasn't the case before, but smooth is only one part of the equation. I mean, I can't feel that. I bet that's sitting right on top of the paint and they just cleared straight over it with the first coat. So if your sandpaper starts to get loaded up, you can see it's got a little bit of stuff in it. If it starts to get loaded up to where it's like that, switch your spot, because it's too compacted in there. You could scrub it out with some water if you want, or you could just rotate your piece of paper. This is the technique I use on clear coat runs. Yep, I still run clear coat. You could use a machine to do this, but that just increases your risk, because you got to run that disc that's rotating. You got to run that disc up on the edge. Just be pulling down. It's a Velcro pad, so you're not getting the rigidity you need to stay on top. It's aggressive, but almost guarantee you go through, because it's hard to go slow enough to see what you're doing. So see right here at the top, see that little blue area that's coming down like this? I'm just starting to go through, is what I think. Right there is what it'll look like, as the clear starts to get, it almost starts to look porous. But you can see that I've gotten right down to where that little piece of fuzz just in the top of that blue is going away, but I am right at the paint. So, and remember, this is 400, and then I'm going to go 1,000, 3,000, and then I got to buff it. Each step, including the buffing step, removes clear coat. So you might be, you know, celebrating at this point, going, yeah, I got it. No, you don't. So at this point, there's no sense in me continuing to sand. I've already gone through. You can see it's gone through the clear. I thought we'd dodge the bullet and I could show you a miracle, because sometimes that does happen where we are able to buff that out, but not today. So we'll paint it.